some basics of what we call green screening for privacy. I'm going to share my screen now so you can see, and it's basically going to look the same. It's not going to look any different. Just let me know when you can see my screen. You can see my screen clear, right?
Yeah.
Good. So what you're seeing essentially now, right now, is just a window on my computer, but I'm doing some fancy stuff. I'm going to go through to show you the very basics of what you can do in terms of protecting your privacy, whether you're at home or at school, wherever you are. I'm going to cover the basics of the very basics of it, and then I'm going to give you a quick glimpse into the advanced stuff, which is like this part. This is where you can essentially show off as a student. Now, this is everything that we're using here is free software. So the biggest challenge you will have would be just your time configuring, understanding, and just taking some time to configure your setup. But as you know, as I said, as we're in the online environment, my encouragement to you is that given the fact that online environments aren't going anywhere, take some time to invest in getting a proper setup. So whether you are attending classes or you are attending meetings or you're just meeting friends online, you are able to get yourself in a position that you can join the session, turn on your camera, and you can engage the persons that you are seeing online. So there are three things I'm going to do. I'm going to cover some basic netiquette sessions, some netiquette tips for you. Then I'm going to give you a Microsoft Teams demonstration. This is software that's available to you as students. I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of that, and then I'm going to break down the whole green screening process. Now, along the way, I may shift and change up how I'm actually presenting it, but the end goal really is that I'm going to try to show you those three things. I'm going to try to cover the netiquette components. I'm going to try to give you a demonstration of the Microsoft Teams, and I'm going to try to break down this setup here that I have right now. And I would encourage you to you can ask me the questions at the end. We only have a short space of time, so I'm going to throw a lot of stuff at you, but the goal is just to, open your eyes to what is available. Okay, so the first thing now is the green screening for privacy. And this right now, this is really the title that we're looking at, green screening primarily for privacy. Your goal is that you want to be able to stay at home or set up your environment at work, and you want to be able to join sessions without persons worrying about what is happening behind you or seeing what is happening inside of your environment in itself, right? Now, one of the first things I'm going to touch on is I want to remind you of the ICT policy that the KFL has. Last Friday, October, the registrar would have sent out information reminding students that the tools that you are using, those tools are governed by what we call the ICT policy. That is the Information and Communications Technology policy by the KFL, which essentially basically says that you have the responsibility not to engage in any particular behavior which may show disrespect for the rights of others. So once we're getting into the whole question of netiquette, it is when you come online and you have forums like a chat forum or online forum. Remember, it is easy for persons to misinterpret what you type. So our encouragement for you is to be professional at all times, not only in terms of dressing and appearing for the classes, but also to be mindful of what you say. Don't type in all caps. Respond to persons politely, avoid sarcasm, those kind of things, because the things that you type, once you put them out there, once you put those things out there, those things, you cannot take those things back. Now let's talk about your environment setup. know that you are looking to get into privacy. One of the first things I would encourage you to do is to go out and see if you can get one of these. Everybody can see what this is? Do you know what this is?
No.
All right, so this is a webcam cover, right? If you have a laptop or you have an actual webcam, you can go to the computer store. Most computer stores would sell a webcam cover. Now, this particular webcam cover, this one is for the laptop. Ideally, what it does, if you are not using your camera, you can just slide it across, which would obviously, whether the camera is on or off, it would block the image going out. So this is one layer of privacy. The other recommendation is when you're not actually using your webcam, turn your webcam off. Primarily when you recognize when you're joining meetings, a lot of the meetings now would probably ask if you want to turn your camera on or you want to turn your camera off. The recommendation in this case, this is one layer of privacy. So when you are with you can practice keeping your web camera covered. Mine is usually covered at all times, primarily because if I'm in and out of a meeting, in and out of many meetings, I wouldn't want the mistake of having the camera on and uncovered, and a person seeing what is not supposed to see. That would create problems, right? So this is one layer of privacy that you can take a look at. And this is, again, this is in terms of getting your environment ready, setting up your environment very specifically. This is one layer of privacy. Now, if you don't have this, for argument's sake, what I used to do before, I would take some duct tape or simply some tape and a piece of tissue and just put the tissue over the camera itself, and then just security tape. Now, many persons may not think about doing that. It's just my webcam, but I'm in the field of computers, and many times we used to connect. Well, I would connect to assist some person, and one day I was actually assisting my mother, and I recognized that while connected to her computer, I could turn her camera on. So I turned her camera on, and she was actually working, and I was able to tell her what it was that she was doing, but she didn't actually know that I had turned the camera on. And it's very similar. It's very similar with persons who may hack your computer, or if you have programs like TeamViewer running on your system that gives persons access to your system. Those are programs that can turn your computer on, and to be honest, you're not fully aware at all times if persons can take over your computer. And if they do take over your computer, you would want to have that kind of control where they can't just turn on your system or access your system and turn on your camera to see exactly what's happening in your environment. So that's one layer of protection at the very beginning before we get into the rest of the environment setup. Now let's move smoothly into I'm going to switch it up. We're going to move, we're going to stay on the concept of your environment setup, setting up your environment. And I'm going to switch very quickly to speak about and show you the green screen setup. Now, what I'm using right now, I'm using a green screen, which allows me to do a lot of the things that you are doing. That's the first part. So we're going to speak about the basics. Now, many of you would see green screens in Hollywood movies, and you would see that persons on YouTube creating videos, and they have this nice fancy video, and the person is in the corner talking pretty much like what I'm doing now. And you wonder, how are they able to do that? Now, it's really quite simple. They use a green screen. Now, you don't have to go and spend a couple thousands of dollars for a green screen. Let me kind of give you let me show you exactly what my green screen looks like. Okay, can you guys see my computer? Can you see my screen right now?
Yeah.
Right. So this is an example of what my green screen in my office looks like. Now this really is just a piece of cloth, a piece of green cloth. And the partition I have right now is board. So I actually just used some thumbtacks to stick the green up behind me. And that is essentially my green screen. At home, I went to the hardware store, and very simply, my wall is actually wall. So I went to the hardware store and I bought some like two masonry nails, literally two masonry nails, and I took the mop stick, the broomstick, mop stick or the broomstick, the board ones that you can just buy by themselves. I literally had an old one of those around, and I took it, put the two nails in the wall, put the board across, put the mop stick across, and I used a green piece of cloth to drip it simply over that, and that became my green screen. So you don't have to go and spend a lot of money to get your own green screen. You can just take a green piece of cloth. One friend of mine used a green shower curtain they had at home, which to me was quite in which I did not think of it, but she used a green shower curtain, and it worked. So you're at a bare minimum, you can use something like this, and like what I've suggested, you can use basically any option you can think of to mount a green piece of cloth behind you. That you can use that option to be your green screen, and that is the first step to securing your privacy when you come online. That really is the first step to what we're doing here, right? Now, after you've set up this space, nice, this piece of cloth, nice behind you, your green screen. You can purchase a green screen if you choose to. Just go to a computer store, ask them if they have any green screens, or you can actually go online and purchase green screens. You may be able to get some of these screens for like a couple $100. If you have that and that's the route you prefer to go, you can go that route. But at a bare minimum, you can just set up your own. Now, after you've gotten the green screen, now this essentially now becomes your environment, right? So now we're now going to get ready to come online. Now the question is, okay, so Omar, I have my green screen. What do I do now, and how does that green screen help me to prevent persons from seeing what is happening in my background? So the tools now, majority of the tools available, i.e. in this case, Zoom and Microsoft Teams, those are the two we're going to deal with. Those two offer what we call virtual backgrounds, and the virtual backgrounds take advantage of a green screen. Now, I'm going to show you a demonstration of it. My screen is shared right now. So I'm going to change the sharing. I'm going to try to show you where you can find it. Just give me a second. New share. I'm going to share my entire screen, and I'm going to see if okay, so tell me something. Are you able to see the controls now on my screen? Can you
No.
see? You can't see the
No.
controls? Okay, all right, let me try something else different. So I'm going to show my computer screen. All right. So let me do a new share, and I'm going to share this window. All right, tell me if you can see the Zoom controls on my screen.
Yeah.
Right, so you can see the Zoom controls. Now, when you are in Zoom natively, you're in Zoom and you're now you have your green screen set up. You have a class in Zoom, so you want to make it so, set it up so that the persons in your class don't actually see what's happening inside of your background. Now, the first thing is that you have already set up your green screen. So to me, what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to take off I have some fancy effects on my green screen, so I'm going to take it off right now so that you can see. You should be able to see. You should be able to see. Right, so you should be able to see me in the corner, and I have a green background behind me. You would have noticed before the all I had in my office was literally the cloth up. So what I'm doing now, I'm going to show you how Zoom behaves with a green screen, how you can adjust for privacy. So when you open Zoom and you go to where your camera is located, Zoom has an option under here called choose virtual background. So if you select that, choose virtual background, you can see I have here in the corner. Let me switch. Yeah. I'm gonna do this. So let me, for a second, let me make this bigger. Pull this around. Now for illustration purposes, I'm trying to shift the zoom up in the corner so you can see the behavior. So right here, you're gonna see this option. Zoom will allow you to choose what they call a virtual background. So you can see that Zoom is changing my background. And you notice that Zoom has taken off the green, which you can see behind me. You can see, but you can still see in between my headphones, you can still see the green, right? Yeah, you can still
Yeah,
see
you
it?
can still
Yeah.
see the green in between the headphones.
Right, correct. So what's happening here is that Zoom is using a piece of technology which recognizes how close the person is to the camera, right? So if I come close to my camera, it's going to try to separate me, who's actually in front of the camera, from my background, regardless of what my background is. So you may be in a Zoom meeting and you may see persons have this virtual background on, and you would notice that the person, it looks funny because one minute the person is here, the next minute the person isn't, and you have a lot of technical things that you have to now try to sort through. But the difference now is if you have a green screen, you can click here that says I have a green screen. And when you click on the green screen, notice the behavior has changed. So now it behaves a lot better. Let me see if I can adjust this. So let me take off my clipping. All right, so if you notice behind me, Zoom is replacing Zoom is replacing my green screen, the green area that it sees, exactly with the image, that I'm selecting. You notice that?
Yeah.
Right. So this right now, my camera is wide, essentially. But in terms of Zoom itself, if I add this back on, my camera is extraordinarily wide, so you wouldn't necessarily have the same issue. But you would notice that right now behind me, Zoom is replacing the green with whatever background it is that I would have chosen. Now, in this very specific case, if this is your environment and you have that green cloth set up behind you, and you come into Zoom and you select, I have a green screen, then Zoom, when you choose the virtual background, Zoom will change the background accordingly, and it behaves a lot better in terms of the presentation. You're not glitching in and out, but it will remain constant and allow you to have that privacy from persons looking in and seeing exactly what's happening. This is a basic level in terms of how you can use something as simple as a green screen to limit what people see of your your specific environment. All right, the controls on your web camera and that kind of stuff allow you to zoom in and to adjust exactly what, like, the area. If you get the cloth and the cloth spans behind you, you can utilize this zoom these zoom backgrounds to essentially have a nice background ready to present. Everybody good? Everybody clear so far? Anybody going out to get their cloth to do their green screen soon?
So the green screen can only be done with a cloth.
It can be done with any green object. So the,
Oh,
the the main goal is for something to be green behind you. So if you are home and you can afford to paint an entire wall um, green, then you have an automatic green screen behind you. If you have a curtain and you can put it up behind you, then it becomes your green screen. It just has to be a green object. Now, if I had on a green shirt, it would be problems because it would turn me into green.
So then will the Zoom background work then without the green screen?
The Zoom background will work without your green screen. Right here, I've just taken off I have a green screen. The technology that Zoom uses, you can see right now mine is glitching in and out.
Yeah.
Right. The technology that Zoom uses, it works based on the proximity, how close you are to the camera. So if you are close to the camera and it can separate you from your background properly, then it will try to do that. But if it's unable to, you would then start to see this kind of behavior. Having the green screen means that you can consistently it can behave a lot better in terms of the presentation and what's going on.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. All right. No,
I
that is
wondered
if.
if you
Go ahead.
I wondered if you could just kind of explain if it interacts with mobile phones in terms of the virtual background.
No, that
Because I
virtual
know
back.
it doesn't.
No, right now Zoom on mobile doesn't support the virtual backgrounds. Actually, majority of the tools that you're going to see, they don't natively support virtual backgrounds. The Yeah, they don't natively support the virtual backgrounds. That part is that part we haven't found a fix for that as yet. Okay, so this is one option. If you are familiar with Microsoft Teams already, Microsoft Teams gives you the option as well too in terms of using virtual backgrounds. Just give me a second. I'm going to jump to that before I actually do the demonstration of Microsoft Teams, but just to give you a understanding of the fact that it can be done.
If I could ask,
Yeah, go ahead.
what's the mechanics behind the whole color green as opposed to any other color?
Well, the whole concept of a green screen is that it selects one solid color and it tries to pull everything. So if you have an image and you have one solid area that's green, it's identified as being the background. No, it doesn't necessarily have to be only green. You have the option of using their orange green screens, their blue green screens, and their green screens. It sounds funny, but those are the three colors that we've seen consistently being used with green screens. The reasons, the best performance has been with the color green so far.
Okay, but they don't know why.
I know I don't have the answer to specifically why green.
Okay.
Now, in terms of so here you're going to see, here's an example of what Microsoft Teams looks like. right? And Microsoft Teams also uses virtual backgrounds, in that it gives you the option of selecting a virtual background. And I'm going to get to this when we actually do the Microsoft Teams demo as well. But the option is here as well, so that you can add some virtual backgrounds, and it works basically the same way, or you can add some additional virtual backgrounds. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this opportunity to segue now into the demonstration of Microsoft Teams before I then show you the more advanced stuff of what I'm doing here right now. All right. Mm. Okay. All right. So what we have here now, what I'm going to show you here now, I'm showing you the Microsoft Teams. Now, as a student, are you all students? Well, or is there anyone here who's not a student of KFL? Okay, so I'm going to assume here everyone is a student of KFL. Now, for each of you, you should have access to Microsoft Office. And to access Microsoft Teams is an environment very similar to Zoom. And to access it, you can go to office.com. When it asks you to sign in, you're going to sign in using your student credentials, or rather it's more your email credentials. So in my case, my email is omar.small@kfl.uwi.edu. And it's supplied by the University of West Indies. So you select work, and then you provide the password to access your mail, your KFL mail. omar.small@mykfl.uwi.edu. All right. So once you're signed in, I don't want to remain signed in. Once you're signed in, you're going to have access to the Microsoft Office portal. When you click on, you can click on the apps here, and you will then see Microsoft Teams. What then comes up is the Microsoft Teams interface, right? Remember how we got there? We actually opened up the Office environment, and we selected Microsoft Teams here. Now, the Microsoft Teams environment, if you were familiar with Zoom, you're familiar with Microsoft OneDrive or the Dropbox functionality. If you're familiar with like SharePoint, you're familiar with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, the document collaboration part where you and friends are working on documents. All of these are available inside of this Microsoft Teams environment. Now, to show you very quickly what the Microsoft Teams environment can do, let me just give you a quick tour of the environment. So on the left, we have activity, and here you will see all of the messages that any particular individual may send you. Let me give you an example of that. I'm going to show you an example of that now. As a student of the KFIL platform, you can find literally any student within this space. Let me see if I can send. I'm going to send a message now to. Let me see. So chat. Let me send a message to. I'm going to send a message to Michaela. M-A-K-A-E-L-L-A. All right, here's Michaela. Let's send a message to Michaela. Hey, Michaela. How are you? Right, so I just sent a message to Michaela. Michaela would, the platform, if Michaela is not online, so she's not online right now, but the message is going to send her an email. So she will get an email saying one of her colleagues is trying to reach out to her right now. She's from social sciences. So she's going to get a message saying that one of our colleagues is actually responding to her. Let me see if anybody else is online. Let me try Atoya. Right, Atoya Hines. Atoya isn't online either. Ah, here, Michaela. Atoya. All right, just sent that one to Atoya. So Atoya should have gotten an email. Let me see if Joelle is online. Joelle isn't online either. Oh, not many persons are online. I know Khalid is online. Let me see Chelsea. Chelsea John. Chelsa. All right, Chelsea. Chelsea and online. Nobody seems to be online. That's at Michaela. Stefan Clark. I don't know which Stefan this is. So basically we're here. So I'm going to interact with Michaela. So right now inside of the Teams environment, you have your chat space, and your chat space you can speak to any other student in the space. Any message you send, they would get an email letting them know that their colleagues are trying to reach out to them. Any files you share with anyone, they're also listed here. So it's a good area, a good space that you can reach out and collaborate. So in some instances, you can actually reach out to your counselors if they're within the space as well. Now in the top right, you can see video call and audio call. So it behaves exactly like Skype. If I wanted to add someone else to the conversation, no one else came online or has responded to my conversation as yet. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just invite myself, Omar Small at MyKFL. All right, I'm going to add somebody to this conversation. Let's say I'm going to add myself to this conversation. Omar Small, right? So I just created a group chat. And if I needed to as well, I can call everybody on this group chat. So let me try this. I'm going to call everybody. Do we want to use the microphone? Yes, use my microphone. Right, Michaela, you don't have to answer. I'm just doing it for demonstration purposes. So right now, it is calling both Michaela and Omar and anybody else who is in the session itself. Right? Right. So I'm just leaving that. All right, let me come back in here. Right, so I just ended that call. If I wanted to, I can add multiple people to group calls, so you can actually have this on your mobile phone, desktop, laptop, Mac. It works on all devices. Download it from the Play Store or download it from the App Store, and you can essentially use it to reach out to your friends, group work. You can share documents. You work on documents together. You literally, within this environment, if you have group projects, you can use this within, you can use this to coordinate and collaborate with the group projects, finish it. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all those work within this space. In terms of teams, if your class uses, if you have a class that uses it, you can also utilize, you would also be within the space. In this case right now, let's say I'm part of Comp 3140. When I click and go into it, then I'm a part of this team. Now you can create a group. If you have a group for a class project or a part of an organization, you can create a Microsoft team, and you can add people, add other students directly to the team, and all of you can be in this space, and you can take advantage of the chatting and the collaboration. You can send messages. Everything works the same way as the chat that I just explained to you. Files, everything essentially works the same way, and it's really a simple environment. If you wanted to meet with everybody on the team, you can just click meet now, and it would allow you to meet with every single person who is on your team. Yeah. The environment itself is really simple, yet it is very powerful. Right? I've used it before with classmates, everybody, because all students are in the same space. If I have a project and I'm working on, I just invite them. We work on the document together. When we need to meet, we call, we meet, we discuss, we put down, and we continue working on documents. So if I'm let me give you an example of very quickly of adding the file. So if I'm in this file section, and I, let's say, added a Word document, test doc, I have the options of, I can edit the Word document in here directly. I can edit the Word document in here. I can open the Word document. If I have Word on the computer, I can actually open it up in the Word on my computer, and it works the same way. It would auto save back into the space. If I wanted to as well, I can choose to I can open it up in the web browser, in which case it would open up in Chrome and allow me to edit the document online. I can open it up in the app, or I can use it in Teams. You get the most functionality when you open it up inside of the app, because it opens up inside of your Excel, your Word, the Word that is on your computer. And I really do recommend that anytime you're working in documents, just open the document in the Word you have on the computer, and continue to work. If you try to edit it directly inside the Teams, it behaves like a stripped down version of Word. So if you have documents that have a lot of graphics and graphs and all that kind of stuff, open it up in Word, and you can fully utilize the environment. Right? Now, if you're meeting, and this is where we can talk now about the green screen. If I'm going to meet someone, or I'm meeting persons within this space, I would want to set up my green screen. Let me share a different screen with you. Microsoft Teams. Right. So if I'm if I'm using my green screen, and I'm going to be meeting, let's say I go into And I say going to this team. And I wanted to meet. In this screen itself, I have the option then of choosing virtual backgrounds. I have to do some fancy stuff. The options I showed you before, where we have the option, or I would have had the option to select virtual backgrounds. If I come to join now, I'm already using the webcam, so this may be a bit dicey or a bit tricky in terms of actually showing you the green screen, the use of the green screen right now. Let me see if I can. Would it allow me to? Right? It can't do it because I'm already using the video over here. Yeah, it can't do it because I'm already using the video over here. So I'm gonna abort that particular one for now, but I would have shown you before where you can actually go in to access the green screen. The green screen functionality works exactly like the Zoom functionality that allows you to be able to key out the green in the background and just show you very specifically what you want, whichever background you would have chosen, right? Right. That is the tour of that's our tour of the Microsoft Teams environment. Now, what have we covered so far? We've covered the netiquette, basics of netiquette, coming online, addressing if you have the green screen at the back, you're good to go in terms of presenting. If you come online in terms of Zoom, you can utilize the Zoom green screen background, and it works without the green screen, but with the green screen, it also gives you the option to key out to offer a better presentation in terms of what you have going on. We covered the Microsoft Teams setup, or rather the use of Microsoft Teams as another web conferencing tool. And with the green screen as well in place, you can take advantage of, again, your environment presenting online. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you very quickly, this may be a little advanced, but it is at least a taste to kind of show you what it is that you can do with a green screen. Now, the software that I'm using here right now is called Open Broadcaster software. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and I'm going to share my entire screen so you can actually see what the software looks like. So let me share screen 3. And no, let me show you. Can you guys see my screen now? Can you see my screen right now? Let me go on. Let me share again. Share screen 1. Let me know if you guys can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, good. All right, so this software that you're seeing here, this software allows you to, with the green screen, don't worry about the fact that I've gotten fairly in the last couple of days, I've gotten fairly into this particular program. But this program allows you to set up your webcam. Let me take off all of the fancy things. So this is my webcam. This is my office. This is my setup. And I just have the screen here behind me. Now, with this software allows me to use my Zoom camera as the output of this program. So whatever I do in this program actually goes out to Zoom, and that essentially is what you see. So with the camera as a basic setup, I can cut out exactly what I want to see. In this case, it's just a simple circle. And then I can tell the software to cut out the green in the background. Excuse me a second. Right, so I can tell the software then to cut out my background. And again, this is the importance of having the green screen. I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't have the green screen, right? So then this allows me to do all kinds of fancy things. So in this case, I would have added, I took an image from online, and this is the image. This is the image that you see. This is the webcam, as I would have explained before. So the web camera by itself, yes, it's cut out, but then I can come and I can add a background to it, and I can make this as big or as small as I want. I can move myself around, position it so it looks decent or it looks good. Yeah, and this is my setup. And then when I'm ready, because this is what the program is outputting, right? And this is what is being sent directly to Zoom. I can then come into Zoom and I can set the camera. I can set Zoom, tell Zoom, I want you to use the output of this, and whatever I do in here is what people will see online. So this is primarily what I use now. This is why I was able to shift and change that. You can see this is a picture of what my screen looks like, and you can see in the bottom right I have still a picture of myself in terms of the webcam here saying hello. In terms of showing my computer, I can show a specific window, or I can show the computer in itself to show you exactly what it is that I wanted to see while still being here in the bottom. If I wanted to show my entire screen, I could show my entire screen, and I can specifically only show what I want people to see. If in terms of doing presentations, or if it is just that I just want to be online, I can just use it just for that, turn on, show up. And again, because I have the green screen, I can choose basically whatever I feel like presenting. All right. And that this program, I'm going to send, what I'm going to do, I'm going to send you the links. I have some links that I'm going to post in the chat before our session ends, but the link shows you your basic step. First step really would be to get the green screen. However you choose to set up your green screen, get your green cloth, however you choose to mount it behind you. And if you are a basic level and you just choose to keep it simple, you can use the green screen backgrounds in Zoom and whatever the technology offers. If you are more adventurous, you can utilize a piece of software like this. This is free. It's called Open Broadcaster. I'm going to send the links to some YouTube videos. They're just 2 YouTube videos that you can watch. And if you're bold enough to experiment with it, you can feel free to jump in and experiment with it. Once you have a basic setup, again with the camera, the webcam cover, you can keep your camera covered so you only show up when you actually want to show up and show off. But then once you're ready to show up and you have your setup and your environment and everything is good, you can then take off your webcam cover. You can start up your software. You can come and you can join into Zoom, and you can show off that you have a nice fancy background. The last recommendation would be that whether home or at work, like in this case, many days I do a presentation like the sportsman. You know, you get up, you have to do a presentation, so you come online and you put on a nice decent shirt. You make the appearance that you are somewhere. And then if you have to get up for any reason or do anything for any reason, just remember to turn off the camera, and you're basically gone. You basically are protecting your environment. But this is the advanced form of presenting online, taking it to the next level, showing up and showing off. All right. With that, let me stop sharing now for a second, and let me post the links for you. I'm going to post the links to the videos in the chat. All right, so you can take a look at those two links, those two YouTube links. Those show you how to install the software that I just showed you, and how to install and set up the software I just showed you. And the last one actually shows you how to use the same software to take out the green at the back, which is pretty much what I'm doing to be able to position myself different places. The videos are in there about, let's say, 15 minutes long between the two of them. So once you've decided on your green screen and you've set up your green screen, you can then watch those videos, set it up for yourself, and you are good to go in terms of online meetings, whether for school, for work, or just entertaining, having some good times with family and friends. All right, with that said, thank you for coming. I'm going to hand over to Khalid now.
Thank you so much, Omar. It was definitely a very informative session. I don't know if anyone has any questions. We can probably take them now. Any questions, comments, queries? All right, it seems as everything was pretty clear. So I guess, Omar, just on behalf of all of us, want to thank you for really sharing the insights on the session. I think that the important thing in terms of showing up and showing off was really one of the important aspects of today's session that I also learned and I took away from it. I hope that our students who are here were able to benefit from it. And as I mentioned earlier, we do have a short evaluation form. I will email it. Actually, wait, I can post it in the chat. But for those who may miss it, I will still email it. We just want to hear some feedback from you, what you learned, but also most importantly, what else you think we should be offering to help you in this professional development journey. So be sure to complete the evaluation form. And if, of course, any other questions pop up, feel free to let us know. All right. Any closing comments from anyone before we go? Let me just put in the chat. All right, so there's the form in the chat. All right, so Omar, thank you so much for facilitating this session. Of course, if there are any follow-up sessions, we'll be happy to reach out to you. I hope that you'll be available to grant us your time. It was very informative, I think, especially those who may not be able to attend. So hopefully we'll be able to share any additional tips coming out of the session to our students, but also just, the software links that you shared. I thought that those were very informative as well. So thank you for sharing those. Be sure to complete that evaluation form and have a wonderful evening, everyone. Take good care. Remember to wash those hands and wear those masks.